This episode of the Good Ship Brothership is brought to you by Beppis. Feeling down? Beppis. Feeling groovy? Beppis. Feeling the need to overthrow your government and seize control for the people? Beppis. Head on over to take a sip of the Beppis, baby! .gov today and enter code I hate podcast sponsorships to receive 4.3% off of your Beppis subscription today. And now on with the show. That is the thing I hate about podcast sponsorships, is that they take up a minute and a half, 5 minutes of my day, and then at the end of it they say, and enter the code, and then it's some stupid thing for, 2% off of your subscription for this arbitrary
service. They're like 15 or 20%.
I know, but they're always horrendous.
It's never like 30%.
I hate them so much.
I wish we had a little bit more light, but this is okay.
What do you mean? It's mood lighting,
I
man.
guess.
Welcome to the studio. And welcome everybody who's listening to us for the first time. It's Grant and Jason, everybody.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about the music that we liked this year. This came kind of as a result to a revelation. I have to get my podcasting chops honed, because as of right now, I have none. This came about as a revelation that I had in November of this year being 2016, that I was not listening to and seeking out enough new music. And that in and of itself is not necessarily an issue. I don't think one should feel duty-bound to listen to music of any age, but I just felt like I was missing out on great moments in music as they happened. And I think that sort of started with Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, which I kind of missed out on for a year, maybe two, before listening to it and realizing that it was great, and I wish I could have been there when that discussion was first happening. So anyway, Jason and I buckled down from November till now and listened to a whole slew of albums that were made this year, and we discovered some very exciting and interesting things, and we discovered some very disappointing and flaccid things. And we're going to talk about them both with equal passion, warmth, humor, and cruelty.
Although I must say, it's hard to speak about flaccid things with much passion.
I can step up to the plate on that.
Okay. Well, should we start with the flaccid things with like honorable mentions?
I think we should. Well, we have to start with honorable mentions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our honorable mentions. We're going to start with albums that we listened to and either liked quite a bit, but not that much, or albums that we listened to hoping that we would like them, and again, we didn't like them that much. I think we should start with, on a high note, with Where the Light Shines Through. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I have that on my honorable mentions list too.
It's not necessarily on my honorable mentions list, but it's on my list because, of course, Switchfoot was the band that got me into rock and roll music, alternative rock, and probably you.
Yeah, mostly
Jason.
Let's not forget Disciple, though.
Yeah, well, Disciple.
Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
Holy heck. They put out an album this year, Long Live the Rebel.
That's not going to be what we're going to be talking about today.
Didn't listen to it.
No.
Didn't listen to a song of it. Anyway, would you like to start or should I jump in? I think you should start. You can warm up, you can tenderize the meat. Don't do that.
So,
hold on. Let me just apologize to everybody. We had a discussion earlier today about novice podcasters and how freaking annoying they are and zany. So we're very sorry if we ever tread into that territory. We're trying very hard to just be completely, absolutely professional in everything that we do. Jason, Where the Light Shines Through by Switchfoot, released this year at some point in the spring, I believe. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? Go.
I think if we kind of handed out awards for like most improved, like they do for kids who are like decent athletes, but they're still not very good.
Decent. You don't get...
Well, if you're like most improved, if you lost a lot of weight or something. Switchfoot's the band that lost a lot of weight this year. Their previous album, I really did not enjoy at all, except
And
for
what was the title of that previous album, Jason?
Fading West.
Amen.
And Fading West had a couple decent tracks, but it was really just them. It sounded like them going like super mainstream. Where the Light Shines Through, I think, was a partial return to form, in that it had a few tracks that had like old Switchfoot groove, you know, a little bit of Oh Gravity, a little bit of Nothing Is Sound kind of going on. But I still think there is, you know, there's a lot left to be desired, you know. It's nowhere near something like Vice Versus, which I thought was just like an awesome group of tracks. That's really all my thoughts on it.
Any standout tracks on that for you?
I did. Now, I know you and I kind of disagree on this. I like Bull in the China Shop. I think it was really groovy. I don't think the writing was good. I do agree with you there. But I think that the groove was such that it kind of overpowered the writing. And I think if that song had been well written, you kind of would have just focused on the awesome like instrumentals anyways.
Well, it's the thing. I almost said it's the thing of, which is a terrible thing to say. But anyway, the problem with that is the groove, the musicality in that song is great, but the completely let's actually look up these lyrics here. Okay, Bull in a China Shop, Hitman, Bull in a Chin. No.
Bull in a Chin sounds like a painful thing.
I'm gonna look up lyrics because it looks like that might actually be a saying. And this is a pet peeve of mine that I had with this song in particular, and with, you know, this is not something that's just contained to Switchfoot, of course, but you cannot write a song off of the perceived strength of one old saying, like bull in a china. Oh, he came in like a bull in a china shop. You can't go, hey, I'm gonna write a song around this one vaguely well-known phrase or vaguely avuncular phrase. Did I use that right?
I don't know.
But here's some of the lyrics to the chorus here. I want to rock this block like a bull in a china shop. Give me more time and I'll do it again. I want to rock this block like a bull in a china shop. Give me more time and I'll do it again. Can I just segue right into mine? This was one of the big problems I had with this album, is because on Switchfoot albums like Hello Hurricane, Vice Versus, Oh Gravity, Nothing Is Sound particularly, they're grappling with some really, really weighty spiritual and emotional issues. And on this album, the juxtaposition between their attempts at heavy, dark spirituality and their, what I wrote down here as youth group party songs, the juxtaposition between the two of those is so jarring to me that it is completely off-putting. Because you go from, and I would like to say, the opening track, Holy Water, I was like so excited when I heard that, because I heard from a couple different people, Randy and Liam, that this album was a huge return to form. They really liked it. And when Holy Water came in with that awesome, the little, I guess it would kind of be a chorus or refrain part with the massive soaring bar chords on the electric guitar, I was so excited. I thought finally Switchfoot have reconciled this apparent need for writing massive anthemic Christian radio songs with their desire to be more of an energetic and quote-unquote serious rock group. Unfortunately, that didn't work. I was told by a couple people, Randy and Jonathan, maybe it wasn't Jonathan, maybe it was Randy and Liam again, I don't know, that it evoked Nothing Is Sound, which is one of my favorite Switchfoot albums. It evokes nothing from Nothing Is Sound. It sounds it's a little tinged from Oh Gravity with that kind of playful pop punk sound, but there's nothing weighty or serious. The last track on the album is just the most syrupy, sepia-tinged trash I have heard in a long time, and it hurts because it's coming from Switchfoot. We know what they're capable of. We've heard how good they can be on Vice Versus and and some of their other top content, I thought the songs were just stuffed full of tropes. Like olives are stuffed full of pimentos, and the taste was bitter, and it left me salty.
Yeah, and we need to move on, but lest we leave on a super bitter note, in my opinion, it did kind of give me hope for the band, just because it was not kind of the straight trash that Fading West was for the most part. So
Yeah.
I don't think it was a bad album, and I think, yeah, I kind of enjoyed it just because it was a little bit better, but overall, it was kind of not the best.
The song. Okay, so I'm just gonna run through the track listing here really fast.
We've been going for like 10
Well, it's
minutes.
fine. We got Holy Water, which starting off awesome, tons of promise. We got Float, which is just trash.
Yeah.
It sounds like Switchfoot going, "Hey, we're going to make a Bruno Mars song for Christian homeschooled mothers."
And they did.
Driving their kids to and fro soccer practice in Indiana.
And those would be some dank soccer runs.
My word. Anyway, we got Where the Light Shines Through, which sounds like they're really trying to get in on the hipster Christian music scene. I Won't Let You Go, which is anemic and terrible. If the House Burns Down Tonight, which
That's a great song.
On the first listen, I was like, that's great. When I was writing up my summary notes earlier today, I went back and listened to it. I was like, this is worse than I remember.
It's like House of Heroes,
Yeah.
kind of.
Kind of. The Day That I Found God, Shake This Feeling, like all these titles. Ugh. And then the title of the album, Where the Light Shines Through. Are you kidding me?
I like that title. I disagree.
Are you kidding me? Can you not come up with something a little more original, a little more interesting, something that distances itself from the rest of your discography? I know they stick with the same themes album after album, but we don't need to be... Anyway. Enough.
Okay, yeah,
Let's move on to...
Can we do one of mine?
Yeah, sure, we can do one of yours.
I just wanted to bring up just because I respect the band, whom I only really actually truthfully discovered while we were doing research for this. The band Car Seat Headrest and their album Teens of Denial. I thought it was a really interesting... I don't like the term homage because I feel like it's really overplayed, but I'm going to use it.
It's when you were playing the album, I'll lean forward so it doesn't sound like I'm 2 feet away. Even though now that I have leaned forward, I am 2 feet away, and before it was more like 4 feet away.
Got him.
This album did evoke for me something of a television vibe. Television made my favorite album of all time, so that's awesome. And there was a little bit of a Arctic Monkeys debut album sound in there, which is totally awesome because of course that's a great album as well.
And I mean, shout out to lead singer Will Toledo, is 24 years old.
It's almost as if you're reading these.
No, I'm not.
From
Look. I just have it written in pencil.
Okay, well, very good. Jason, just so all you can picture this, Jason printed his notes, and mine are scrawled on with pencil on paper. Anyway, so
Anyways,
Will Toledo or whatever his name is. 24
years old. This is his 13th studio album, and I feel like we're just probably going to see more good things from him. So I just wanted to give them a shout out, but that's really it. What's another one of yours?
One of mine that I think you listened to a little bit. I listened to it a little bit more. Awaken My Love.
That's on here too.
Which Randy made me hip to. Randy Bowman, drummer in my band. My best bud. My best bud. My best bud. My best bud.
He's a good friend of ours.
Yeah. He's a strong acquaintance, I would say.
Stand-up guy.
He and I have shared a single-person air mattress. He suggested Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino, and I was quite impressed initially. Upon a little bit of a deeper listen, I've decided that it's an album with a few standout tracks, a lot of fluff, a lot of... It felt a little too overproduced to me. It felt like every time they were kind of in a artistic rut in terms of where they wanted to take the song, they just layer on lots of reverb onto Donald Glover's voice or put a whole bunch of... I would love to see what he'd do with more restrictions. I watched a live performance of Redbone, which is
Great
one of my
song.
standout tracks. Amazing. I would have never thought that the phrase "stay woke" would be, I don't know, stuck in my head in a song, because that, you'd think, that's a little stupid.
You're
That's
not
a little,
13 anymore.
That's a little trendy,
Yeah.
saying "stay woke" in a song, but somehow he makes it work.
Oh man.
But I watched a live performance of Redbone on a late night talk show, the name of which I cannot remember at this moment, and it was a lot better than the album version, in my opinion.
And the album version was very good.
Yeah, Donald Glover, sounds exactly like that live. But the restrictions of having a band sounded a little good. The sound was a little cleaner, less cluttered, and the cover's very cool. It just felt he could have used a little more focus, a little more trimming of the fat. But overall, great album. Standout tracks, Redbone and the opener, Me and Yo Mama.
That's the two that I have down here as well.
Which, were... I was very blown away when I heard them both for the first time. Do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I said, it's a slight spoiler alert. It kind of reminds me...
For an album?
Yeah, for an album. It kind of reminds me a bit of Alex Cameron, who we'll talk about later, just in that it combines like this retro, like, kind of groove with like a lot of these kind of futuristic well, maybe not futuristic, but
you don't have to speak as loud as you're speaking, BT Dubs,
but kind of cutting edge.
I appreciate you projecting.
I like to project.
No, it was a very cool, and I said two options I'd love to see would be a Childish Gambino tour with the band Vintage Trouble opening. Vintage Trouble being a kind of soul R&B band with like a very traditional classic vibe, and Childish Gambino's really taken the R&B soul sound into the space age on this album, and it's a very, very cool sound and a very, very cool vibe he's achieved. Like I said, could have just done with a little more trimming of the fat. What else do you have in your honorable mentions? Because I have one more.
I have one more too, and they might be the same one. Moon-shaped pool.
Nope.
No? So
it is in mine, but it's not written down.
Yeah. So my last honorable mention would be Radiohead's Moon-shaped pool. I think this might have gotten higher up on the list if I had given it more time to like digest and percolate. I don't think I really gave it a fair shake, even though I really like kind of older Radiohead stuff. It has a lot of promise. I thought it kind of lacked a little bit of cohesion, and like I really appreciate when a band does, kind of like out there stuff, as we'll see later on the list. But to me, there's also kind of a limit where, you should still be making songs.
It gets a little too floaty and a little too disjointed, and yeah.
If I still want to be able to introduce someone to a band by showing them a track instead of being like, well...
Or even part of a track.
None of this really makes sense unless you listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
But, a decent album. And that's all I really
And
have
then
to
another
say.
complaint, of course, is that Radiohead removes all of their songs from any free streaming service. Like I always say, if people want to steal your music, they're going to steal it. If they want to pay you, they're going to pay you. So just let people listen for free. I would have, honestly, if I could have listened to the album, and I know this is kind of a terrible thing to say, especially for myself as a musician, but if I could have listened to the album for free, I probably would have had a higher chance of just buying it right after the first listen, as opposed to having to seek out tracks on different streaming services. I think it sounds like a very cool album. Again, you listen to the sounds that Radiohead gets, and you marvel at the fact that a collection of human beings can pull that off. But of course, Johnny Greenwood and Tom York, we know you listen to this podcast religiously, but in your religion you are righteous because you never miss an episode.
Thank you.
So put your stuff up on YouTube for the love of cocaine.
Oh, such a strong love.
And here's where things are going to get interesting, folks, because Jason and I, of course, have listened to a lot of the similar music, but we don't know what each other has. Wait, each doesn't know what the other has on their top 3 or honorable mentions. So
I have a pretty good idea what yours are going to be.
My next honorable mention, my last one, is "You Want It Darker" by Leonard Cohen.
You suck.
Leonard Cohen obviously sadly passed away a couple weeks after releasing this album.
About a week and a half.
And of course, he's a I'm a huge fan of his stuff, and so is Jason. Where should I? The standout tracks for me on this album would be, of course, the title track "You Want It Darker," which is amazing, with the choir coming in and then the beat. I love the instrumentation. I bet people are gonna think their podcast stuck there. I love Leonard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay on target.
Jason, it's okay. We're still here, everybody. You thought we left, but we're still here. Psych. Anyway,
let's not get too annoying.
So the two tracks that I loved, and I bet that hand clap there just dimed out this microphone. Let's scroll back and see.
No, we're good.
Oh yeah, we're fine. Were the title track, "You Want It Darker," comes in with the choir, with the beat. Like I said, the instrumentation, production, top notch. Somehow this is the perfect environment in which to showcase Leonard Cohen's extraordinary voice and writing. The other song that I really connected with was "On the Level," which is like a beautiful kind of gospel swing kind of thing. For some reason, I did not connect with this album like I connected with his previous one, Popular Problems, despite the fact that I really, really wanted to. I pre-ordered the CD right here and listened to it religiously and righteously in the car and truck as I drove around for a couple of weeks. But it just didn't grab me, and I didn't connect with it on the level that I did with Popular Problems. I said the first time I heard this album, though, actually the first time I heard the title track, I said, this is going to be Leonard Cohen's last album.
You did say that.
And you said, oh, no, I don't think so.
No, I said maybe not.
He's going to do a hip-hop album. That's what your prediction was.
Oh, that's right. I thought he was going to do that and then EDM.
But anyway, so yeah, it is a beautiful, great album. It's only not in my top 3 because I just didn't connect with it on the level.
I understand.
Hey, did you get that?
Yep.
Because the one song is called "On the Level."
So I guess I have a couple more honorable mentions because all you have are your top 3, right? Yep. Because I still have 3 others that we can blaze through quickly.
You have 3? Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, I told
let's go. Rapid fire. What's the first one?
So the first one that I think is the least out of these, this will be quick because you don't like it, is Therapy Session by NF.
Oh, man.
I think that NF has a good groove.
Therapy Session. Piano. Dinka, dinka, dinka.
Thank you. I think that NF is super formulaic, but I think he has a ton of energy, and I think he's...
You could say he's super formulaic.
But I think...
You'd be right.
Okay, don't talk over top of me, please. We talked about this. I think that he's a way better... I think he's a way better writer than any other Christian rapper. I think he has more energy. I got to see him live, kind of almost by accident, and he put on a great show. I think he really actually improved over his last album in every objective measure. And yeah, that's basically it. Standout tracks from that, I would say, are Intro 2 and Therapy Session. My next one, and I know this will probably reappear on yours, so this will be quick also, is Jump the Shark by Alex Cameron.
Oh, you put that on your honorable mention.
Well, it's number 4.1, you know? It's kind of 5th. I really like the groove, and he really came out of nowhere. I did not expect this would be in the discussion. I had never heard of this man before. He's from Australia, so I'm still not convinced that that's a real place. He has a really...
That's a good joke.
Original content. He has a really nice, like, kind of tight groove. He has a great, like, social media presence. I love his persona. Like,
yeah.
If you look at the album cover, he's this kind of, like, greaser guy with all these, like, I guess scars on his face. He invented a whole persona for the album, and I really respect that.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be like a failed
exactly.
Nightclub singer from LA, sleazy, kind of greasy dude. And he applied, like you said, all these fake scars to his face for the photograph on the album, and he looks positively strange, and that is what attracted me to the album first.
And lastly, I just wanted to say, I love how he takes his music seriously, but he's never above like cracking a joke in his song lyrics. Like, what's his lyric about his lawyer?
Ahmed, my lawyer, he said you can't do this. Ahmed wears a suit and tie. Come on, man. Ahmed's legit. He's
Like-
coming at you like a paralegal nightmare. Got him staying up at the Ritz. We're gonna get my show back. I've got a whole bit about that song in mind.
Yeah. I've always said that music is an inherently kind of joyful experience, and so I appreciate somebody who can be a bit lighthearted. Lastly, and I don't want to glance over this one too much because I feel like in a couple weeks it'll be in my top 3, is Bon Iver's 22 A Million. I think this is a really fantastic album, and I'm sad that it's not in my top 3, but I just couldn't bring it to displace any of the other 3. I think that the track titles are interesting, and how they're assigned a symbol and a number, like from numerology, not really my thing. But I appreciate...
It is actually.
Is it? Okay.
I'm reading tea leaves right now.
Yeah. But I do appreciate when someone puts more thought into all areas of the album, instead of being like, this is the song, album art's whatever, track list is whatever. Like, he put thought into each of those areas. I like how the sound kind of flows to an extent from digital to analog as the album progresses. You know, it becomes just a little bit less vocoded, just a little bit less highly processed. And I think it's just a really, like, it takes you on a compelling sort of journey. And I feel like it kind of pulls off the whole Radiohead Moon-Shaped Pool thing a little bit better than Radiohead did. Just having, you know...
It's a very textured album.
Mm-hmm.
And the production and instrumentation of the album are elements that themselves tell a story.
Yeah.
Which most bands, it's normally just a vehicle for delivering a story. As say, a hot dog bun is a vehicle for getting that sausage into your mouth.
And I love an album too, like Television or like Alex Cameron's Jumping the Shark, where you listen to it for the 50th time and you go, oh man, I never heard, you know, this little guitar line, and that's really cool. That adds something to the song. And I think that 22 A Million is gonna be something that, you know, an album where that happens to me for many months to come.
And on the topic of the track listing and how stuff's titled, I like that surface level obscurity.
Yeah.
Because that kind of surface level obscurity provides an indication of the depth that's contained within the album, and a little bit of a barrier to entry, which is, I think, like I always say, I find important to making my own music and listening to music that's truly rewarding.
That said, numerology, not my first choice. Second, probably not my 69th choice. Standout tracks from 22 A Million are, the song title is 33, quote, God, unquote, and 8, bracket, circle, bracket.
That is the issue when you're trying to... Have you heard the song 8, circle, bracket, circle...
No, one of the worst ones
My
is...
elbow loves ketchup.
The first one is Over Soon, which is in brackets, and all the letters are in capitals, but then the 2 O's in S are infinity symbols. I'm like, I can't even type that in my phone when I'm searching for it.
Bit of a pain, but, you know.
Okay. Now, well, Grant reads his third.
Are we heading on to the top 3 now?
Yeah. And
because we should do something that we forgot to do at the start of this show.
What's that? Oh, my goodness. No. Oh, man.
We forgot, everybody, to introduce you to our very important theme music.
How did we forget?
I don't know, but it's important. But I figured, you know, since things are going so well,
we should almost just like put it in like.
No, it's way too late now. I brought it up. This is what I'm doing. I'm burning the boats here.
Shoot.
So
I can't believe we forgot.
Let's see. I can't exactly remember, but this could very well be our theme music, but it might not be. Are you ready?
And while you play it, I'm gonna eat this green wrapped Lindt chocolate.
I hope it tastes like an apple.
I have to take my retainer out first.
You just put it in.
I don't know. Oh. Just play it.
Is this it?
No. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Ready? Go!
No, it's not it. This is... No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not the laughing one. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on, everybody. It's okay, I promise. Oh, here it is! Yeah! Oh.
1, 2, 3. Ready? Go!
If this isn't making you smile, you're dead inside.
It's loud.
Yeah, we're gonna have to compress this part. Big finish.
I like how
Okay, so that's our theme music. I'm really sorry we completely forgot to. We were gonna haul it out at the beginning of the show, and it was gonna be awesome and weird. But I hope it's even weirder now going into our top 3 and having that just inserted into the middle of this show. Is this even a show? I guess it's a show.
we're not showing them anything.
I know, I guess
it's
not.
an ear show.
An ear show.
Did we even tell them what it's called?
The Good Ship Brothership Ear Show. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did, because at the beginning we've got the sponsorship that I've pre-recorded. That says,
okay.
this episode of the Good Ship
Mhm.
Brothership is
Yeah,
brought to you
right.
by... Yeah.
We should
Brought
say,
to you by cancer.
I feel like we should still say welcome aboard the Good Ship Brothership. Anyways,
Yeah, we should. We'll get better at this.
give us a break, guys. What's your number 3?
Come on. What do you want from us? My number 3. Here's the bombshell I'm about to drop on your orifice.
Okay. Just
My
don't
number-
drop it in my orifice. Okay.
My number 3 was an album that I listened to in its entirety today for the first time, and was so moved and affected by it that it instantly went onto my
This is
top
Iggy
3.
Pop's album?
It is the album Skeleton Tree by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Really?
I first heard this album a while back when it was released, and the song, it's something Jesus. I know it's got Jesus in the title. Let me just Google this.
It's the most important part. I gotta be honest with you, I did not even know that Nick Cave put out an album this year.
Jesus Alone is in September. So the first track, Jesus Alone, which is this kind of weird... It's like it's a churning fuzz guitar with very soft drumming and just spoken word over the whole song. So it's a really dissonant, weird sounding track, and I was kind of put off by it when I first heard it. And it's like, do I really want to spend time with a whole album that sounds like this? But the rest of the album is completely different. And right after writing the song Jesus Alone, and I'm gonna Google the lyrics here, Nick Cave's son fell. Do you know about this? Nick Cave's son fell down a cliff and died. His son's 17 years old. Completely
I did
out
hear
of the
about
blue.
that, right.
Totally tragic. These are the lyrics to the song Jesus Alone, which he wrote before this happened. You fell from the sky, crash landed in a field near the river Adur. Flowers spring from the ground, lambs burst from the wombs of their mothers. In a hole beneath the bridge you convalesced, you fashioned masks of twigs and clay. You cried beneath the dripping trees, ghost song lodged in the throat of a mermaid. And the album is this weird... The rest of the album after that is Nick Cave reconciling with and coming to the terms with the death of his son. And the standout tracks for me that I heard, and again, I've only heard these once, and that's enough for a long time for me, because I was in tears listening to them for the first time. And the songs that really stood out to me were Rings of Saturn, amazing, Girl in Amber, and I Need You, during which I absolutely broke down. This album is an emotional snapshot of a man who is just in agony. The whole album it has this disconnected feel, and it just perfectly matches how numb and shocked you feel Nick Cave feels, and it is heart-wrenching. And I wrote down here, normally macabre, now heart-shredding. Because Nick Cave, I think of him as Stagger Lee.
I think it was the Murder
He's a
Ballads guy.
badass. He's
Yeah.
scary. But this is the most vulnerable album I think I have ever heard in my entire life.
Interesting.
And knowing the backstory going into it, I think really helps with that. But Nick Cave is genius on this album. Completely fearless. It is the bravest album probably this year, and Black Star came out this year.
Yeah.
You know? So I was completely taken aback by this album. I know you don't have anything to add to it, but I'm totally buying it on CD, probably vinyl as well. It is beautiful. A lot of the stuff, like it's spoken word more so, and that really adds to the disconnected feeling and this numb kind of paralysis.
And even, like, I've never seen or listened to this album before, but even I'm just looking at the album cover on the screen right now, and it's just, you know, text kind of down the corner. And the rest of the album is black. Like, it has
looks
this
like the
disconnected...
old green on black
computers.
That, like an ancient computer would have on it.
And even that, you know, has like a sort of disconnected...
it's just totally naked, totally stripped down.
Exactly, vulnerable.
Anyway, yeah, so that is actually my number 3 now after just one listen. What's your number 3, Jason?
Do you know what it is? You probably know what it is.
I'm gonna say it is Big Thief.
Correct. My number 3 is Big Thief's new album, Masterpiece. This is actually another band that I was not aware of until a few weeks ago when I was doing research. And I looked them up, and I looked up quite a few bands for the research for the research for this. And a lot of them I listened to, even like Car Seat Headrest, and I was like, this is good, but whatever. It doesn't speak to me. I understand it's good, but I'm not going to listen to it probably after this. But Masterpiece, I'm just going to write what I read here because it's...
You're going to read what you wrote.
Ooh. That's meta.
Did you know what you said?
I understand now. Okay.
Did you go back and listen in your head to what you just said? Okay.
All that to say, this is going to sound really, you know...
Recited?
Yeah, exactly, because it is.
Okay.
I said Big Thief's Masterpiece is a fantastic nostalgic album. It's just classic indie goodness with the added bonus of some of the best writing I've heard in a long time. I will definitely have my eye on them in the future.
Whoa! Oh, mama!
I hope the mics picked that up.
The frog in your throat just started yodeling.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
The frog's name is Lucas.
I hope everybody at home just heard that.
Whew. But yeah, their writing has this beautiful, just this nostalgic flavor, and I feel like nostalgic songs are kind of overdone with a lot of people, and they're not really nostalgic, they're just sad. But this album makes me like miss times that I never even had, you know, like the track Paul just has like this nostalgic flavor of a man and woman in love.
Yeah, that was a good tune. You played that for me.
Yeah, and it just grooves, man. Also, I just want to...
Just grooves, man.
Dude. Sorry, what do you want from me?
More of that. That's what I want from you.
You say,
holy Moses.
You're like, do you have anything to add, Jason? And I can just gurgle. I just had one of my mom's homemade muffins, so I guess, you know.
It's reacting to the Lindor chocolate.
Oh man, they're just having a fight. Anyways, I just stifled another one. I should also note that they are easily the most irritating band I've ever watched perform, and that did take away from the album a bit. We watched NPR's Tiny Music Desk concert, and I think one of the commenters said it best when he said, there's a Forever 21 girl, a disco man, a fisherman, and a pro bowler. They're like, oh man,
it looks like a bunch of hipsters went into somebody's childhood dress-up box and just seized random items and threw them on. Now, of course, it's music. It's not all about the look, but you can just tell they put thought into it. Their drummer had like a hunter orange hat on and a fishing vest.
What are you doing, bud? And
their guitarist looked like he was having neck seizures for the whole...
I did respect NPR, though, for publishing that, even though the guitarist had a seizure during the whole performance.
During the entire course of the performance.
For the purity of this, we're still going to publish it. But I also, again, I don't want to end on a negative note. This album was incredible, and I would recommend Paul and Masterpiece if you're going to listen to 2 tracks. But this album, as with numbers 1 and 2, please, if you care about music, just go listen to the whole album at least once.
It is a very good album.
You will not be disappointed.
It's they're fronted by a woman, and they kind of have a
I would say a Bright Eyes vibe, even though, I mean, Bright Eyes, obviously, male band.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of in that neck of the woods of folkish, but it's electric guitar driven. Great tones, great electric guitar tones, especially for the female vocalist who's playing the rhythm parts and whatnot. Really, really cool stuff. It really works together, and they're clearly a band who play very well together.
Yeah, and I do feel, I'll just add, this is my last kind of note, I think a lot of folk is really overdone now, you know, like someone in a wide-brimmed hat with like a skirt or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm folk, I play the ukulele, probably the banjo too. But this is a band where it really does seem like they just, you know, the way they want to express themselves. Yeah, they're just doing them. They're not doing folk, they're doing them.
You, kid.
Yeah,
you do you.
So I really want to commend them, because as much as I wanted Bon Iver to be on the top 3, he couldn't push out Big Thief, because Big Thief's album was incredible.
My number 2, which has been discussed a little bit thus far, is Jumping the Shark by Alex Cameron. I discovered Al Cam, as his friends refer to him as, from a Vinyl Me Please list that was like 15 overlooked albums of 2016. Whoa!
They were right about one of them.
We're so hip. And I believe I was on the toilet at the time that I saw the article. So, of course, I scrolled through it, and I just saw this sunglass-wearing, scar-faced, collar-popping, hair-greasing dude on the front of this album.
Total dude in like the 50 cents, like we were talking about. Yeah.
And was completely interested in how weird, and the coloration of the cover of the album too is kind of faded.
It's super desaturated.
It's the whole album has that kind of faded vibe to it. Alex Cameron almost has written a folk album with electronic music behind it. It's very, very interesting. It came totally out of the blue for me. The songs that really stood out on it for me were The Comeback, which was the one that we were talking about earlier with Ahmed, which is about a failed show host trying to get his show back. And it has literal laugh out loud moments and like purposefully meant to be absurd, funny details about
his
the happenings, his failures, and his delusional belief that
he can get it all back.
That he's still the top dog.
It's a nice contrast to a lot of syrupy pops, like shoot for your dreams, even if you know, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you land among the stars. Like, or you could just be Alex Cameron and have a lawyer named Ahmed. You know,
if you miss, you end up committing suicide.
Well, he's still alive.
The other, not the character in that song. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Spoilers. I'm sorry. The second song I chose was "She's Mine," which is like a super groovy, kind of 80s inflected synth thing. It's a synth thing.
How descriptive. How musically ambiguous.
Some of the stuff on this album sounds like grittier Lorde from Pure Heroine, from her darkest moments, with less teen anxiety and all that sort of thing. And then the last song I picked was Take Care of Business, which is just a great song. Couple things. The album is just so fresh. It's so stripped down. For most of the songs, it's just going to be a drum beat that you're hearing from like a drum machine, and then it's just going to be a couple layers of synth keyboards that come in. His live shows look to be awesome, and like you said, he's equal parts fun and then business. Like he blends sincerity and tongue-in-cheek humor in a way that almost nobody can.
I think if he were a filmmaker, he would be the Coen brothers. Because you always listen to this and you're like, is he serious? Is he joking? And a lot of times I think the answer is probably both, because, you know, the two aren't mutually exclusive.
I've always been interested in the setting of sleazy Vegas, Hollywood style backdrops, and he sells it so well. Jason, you're number 2.
I actually want to cover a little bit more Alex Cameron, because I talked about him just a bit, but a couple other things. My 2 songs, Take Care of Business as well. We discussed that. Not gonna go into it. Real bad looking, awesome testament of a ugly mother protesting that she should be allowed to leave her kid in the car.
some of the lyrics are. Oh, there's a music video for it.
While you look that up, I want to read just a quick excerpt from his Facebook post so you can understand a bit of his persona, because he has a fantastic persona. Al Cam here. We're moving, folks, and fast, changing cities, hairstyles, our alliance with rental car companies. This morning I almost took a facial mole off with a razor. That's how fast it's all happening.
He does have a facial mole,
yeah,
too.
he does. And that's like just the kind of persona that he never lapses from, and I really respect him for that.
Some of the one of the lyrics here from the drunkest, quote unquote, drunkest, ugliest girl at the bar.
This is from Real Bad Looking.
Yep. My husband's at work. My baby's in a Daewoo sauna. Daewoo being an Australian brand of automobile. I hold my breath when I check just to see that she isn't a goner. So this woman's in drinking, getting smashed, and just left her child out in the car. So just despicable, terrible characters, pretty much all across the board.
And it's chilling, but it's kind of funny, a lot like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 2, and I think we're probably going to get to this a bit later, is Black Star by David Bowie. Again, I'm just going to read what I've
I knew
written.
it was going to be your number 2, so I'm not too rattled.
I'm going to read what I've written, and it's going to be scripted, and then we'll get into more improv stuff. So, captivating, amazing, draining. Black Star really gives a unique experience. I thought it was an album which possesses an amazing amount of depth, and I feel like I've only scratched the surface of that. For instance, and maybe you have this written down too, the song on the album, Girl Loves Me, is written in not one, because one's not enough, but 2 different kinds of street slang.
And if I can interject real quick, I read again today,
You did, yeah.
which I had forgotten. One of the slang is actually fake slang from The Clockwork Orange. So it's half
That's
that,
awesome,
and
yeah.
then it's half some kind of, I think it's like, it was London street slang from the 70s, from like gay bars and weird stuff like that.
And this
Subculture.
is going back to what we talked about with Bon Iver, but like times a million. This is where we talk about barrier to entry, obscurity, and depth of sound. I've listened to this album, I don't know how many times. A lot of people, when they listened to it, they found it hard to go back to because it was very emotionally draining, as it was released just a couple days before David Bowie passed away. I didn't find that. I listened to it again and again, and every time I listen to it, I notice something new, and I love it. And yet, I still feel like there's so much more for me to unpack. Like Girl Loves Me, I don't know what that song's about at all. I haven't looked that up. I have no idea.
I think that could be part of the whole point of the song too, is it's confusion, right?
Yeah.
And it could be Bowie just venting his fear and confusion at his
Passing.
illness, and his imminent death. 'Cause,
Yeah.
He was very aware that he was going to die and quickly soon.
And I think, talking about confusion and barrier to entry, when I first heard it, he was still living. And I thought, well, this is interesting, different. I just wish it made a little bit more sense. And then he passed away, and then I went back to it, and I went, oh.
Yeah, I think
I get it
everybody
now.
did that.
Yeah.
I
And
touched
then-
on that a little in mine.
Yeah, the last observation I have is more than any other album on this list, it will be the album that takes up the most of your time, because even after you stop listening to it, you're still thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true. Like Alex Cameron's album is much more like now I want to say like a movie, but it's not really. But it's like it's a collection of portraits and, to borrow an overused term in music, vignettes.
Yeah.
I dislike that term now.
No,
but
you're
it's-
right though.
It's little snapshots of different people in different circumstances. There's no heavy overarching story. And the same with You Want It Darker by Leonard Cohen. It's just, You Want It Darker is just a collection of really, really good songs. But this is a big statement about Bowie's entire life and his death too.
And I'm going to say this for every one of the top 3, like what I said for Big Thief. Please don't just listen to these 2 songs, listen to the whole album. If I had to pick 2 songs, my 2 standout tracks are Lazarus and Dollar Days. Both are just incredible.
Frick you, man.
Are those both yours?
They're 2 of mine, and I have
Nice.
3.
But, there's not a bad song on there.
Yeah, there really isn't. And that's kind of alarming.
Even, like, Big Thief's album, Masterpiece, again, incredible album. There are a couple songs I was like, these are kind of stinkers. You probably could have cut it down a couple tracks. It just happens.
How many tracks are on the Big Thief album?
I don't know. Google it. But And Big Thief didn't have much of that, but you know, I would say 95% of the albums I listen to, there's like always a little bit of fluff. Grant's looking this up. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you that we are brought to you by Ma's Homemade Muffins. Nobody does it like Ma at all.
Okay, so the Big Thief album has 12 tracks, and the Bowie album has
Around 10?
I think it's got less than that. I think it has. Hold on. 1, 2,
Counting.
3, 4, 5, 6,
9 maybe?
7. It's got 7
That's
tracks on. 7 tracks. A 7-track album of astonishingly good songs will make more of an impression than a 12-track album where 3/4 of the songs are great and the remaining quarter you think, I could have done without these, and it would have made the other songs seem better for it.
I feel it would be amiss not to point out, however, that like the title track Black Star is I think 9 minutes and 59 seconds long.
Yeah.
So he still fills the time just fine with 7 tracks.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your number 1?
My number 1, Black Star by David Bowie.
yay.
Wow.
Now you can say your
What
piece.
a surprise. Everybody who's listening to this, aka 3 of our pals.
Hey there, Randy.
Hi, Randy. Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan, I know you're going to be listening to this.
We love you. We love you so much. Oh my word, we love your little eyes.
You know what we should get for doing these later?
$1 million.
When we get lots of money for doing this show,
Yeah.
we should get the ASMR mics that's like 2 ears, and we'd each be on one side. So when people like you're tickling the
all
left
we use
and I'm
2
tickling
mics
the
and
right.
one to be
It's not the same though, because the fleshy ear sculpture there. Also, this table is just going to be creaking for the entire episode, which is great.
it's authentic.
The Good Ship Brothership episode 1, Feet the Table.
It's a little bit of a creaky ship. you know?
Creakers the table.
I feel like it would be kind of like a galleon.
Yeah, for sure.
You would be the chef. I would be, I don't know, the cabin boy probably, if I'm being honest.
Probably.
Okay, what are your thoughts
Number
on
1,
Black Star?
Black Star comes out. It's out for like 3 days. Bowie dies. Everybody's like, wait a second, that's not how this works. You're supposed to be touring. And then everybody simultaneously, magically goes, oh. And the scales fall off the eyes. Everybody realizes this is what the album was about. Him dying. Did you like that?
Yeah.
That's what the album was about.
Whereas,
And this is what the first thing I have, second thing I have written down here, the album is perfectly cryptic. It came out, everybody's like, this is weird imagery. These are weird themes. What's he talking about? However much time elapses, Bowie passes away. Everybody magically, nobody called it, really, that I saw. Everybody at once was on the same page. We were all riding that wave.
That's true.
And we all arrived at the same place at the same time of going, my word, he has turned his death into... it's not marketing for the album because it's part of the album. He has merged his death with his final creation, with his final album. What a genius. What a genius.
and I think any amount whatsoever of skepticism I would have that an artist is doing what they're doing like for the sake of their brand goes right out the window when I'm like, well, you died
when
like
they incorporate
a couple days
their
after.
death
Yeah,
into their
so
last. Yeah.
I realize, like, a lot of artists, I'm sure, do what they do from a genuine place, but I know this was 1,000% genuine because he knew he was leaving right afterwards.
Yeah.
And I really respect that.
And I have in block capitals here, no fat anywhere.
True.
Which is what we were talking about. 7 tracks. Each track is really, really good. Even the ones that could be considered, 'tis a pity she was a whore. Some people might not like that song. I do. I think all the songs are really
It
great.
was necessary.
The band he has assembled is just ridiculous.
You do need to touch on that.
The production by Tony Visconti, who was with him for I think he was with him for help me out here. Ground control to Major Tom.
Space Oddity?
Space Oddity, yeah.
Spade Oddity.
Yeah, Spade Oddity.
David Bowie.
He's been with him since that since that phase. So Tony Visconti, really almost borderline lifelong collaborator with Bowie. Again, doing an amazing job with the production. Everything is just perfectly layered. There's just the right amount of depth where you avoid being too cluttered and hitting the awaken my love trap of
Exactly.
it's too crowded, I can't focus on anything, it's just a wall of noise. The band is tight, the band is focused, there's a live energy to the music. David Bowie's voice, you can hear he's old, you can hear really that he's sick and that he's unwell. His voice is much weaker than it has been in other albums, but he uses that to his advantage in just an amazing, like, you'd never notice. You'd never listen to it and go, wow, Bowie sounds weak.
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect example. I was just thinking now while you're talking, and I thought one of the things that makes a truly great album, like a fantastic album like this, is it requires a conscious input from the listener, and it provides a different output. And that's exactly what this album does. You know, you have to come at it with your own thoughts and perspective and, you know, knowledge of prior events. And then it provides you with just this incredible experience that you would never get. Like, if I walked up to, like, I don't know, my mom, and I was like, hey mom, check out this album. She doesn't really care that David Bowie's dead.
She certainly does not care that David Bowie's dead.
She would not get the same experience because she didn't have the input.
And this is what I'm talking about too, that this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get into new albums. Yeah. After this experience, I got into David Bowie not a long time before, probably
6 months before.
Last year.
Yeah.
Middle of last year, I really started getting into Bowie and digging through his back catalog. And when this came out, I was so excited because I was like, yes, now I can be on board for this. Yeah. And then this happened.
I know.
And I had no idea what I was signing up for.
Because I thought, unlike, like, when I got into B.B. King, he was, like, very old, not the best when he was live, if I'm being honest. Rest in peace, sir. But when I got into David Bowie, I thought he's only 68, I think, 67 when we first started listening to him. Yeah. And I was like, awesome, he'll still have, like, a lot of stamina when he's live, and, like, I can see him, if not in his prime, then at least, like, not while he's fading.
He'll still be good, yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
But Byproduct was one of the great albums of the last several years. And
that experience is one of the things that drove me to wanting to listen to more new music, so I wouldn't miss out, because if I had missed out on that, I would have never forgiven myself for it. So, just a few closing remarks. Again, the band, amazing. Bowie, famous for bringing in and assembling bands for each of his albums. And this, I think, is one of the best bands he has ever had. I agree. Let me try and remember the members. I know Donnie McCaskillin, I might be mispronouncing that, on saxophone, who does an amazing job. The saxophone solo sounds so good. Mark Guiliana on drums, who
he is peerless. He blew me away.
Man alive,
more
amazing.
Than anybody else.
And I cannot pronounce his last name, LeBervre on bass, I believe, and then the guitarist whose name criminally escapes me now, because the guitar solos on Dollar Days and I Can't Give Everything Away, these beautiful jazz fusion things that just soar, and they really carried this album with Bowie. Bowie, once again, proving he can pick them like nobody else can.
Yeah, I think this is an album, obviously, solo artist, David Bowie. Yeah. But at the same time, it feels more like a band's album. Everybody plays an equal, vital role, but doesn't overplay their position
Bowie
either.
has always been able to do that somehow. Like, you listen to Young Americans or something, and you can't believe it's not a band that has been playing together for 20 years. My 3 picks for the album for songs were Lazarus, Girl Loves Me, and Dollar Days.
Good picks.
Jason, you're number 1. Let's go.
So, talking again about how with David Bowie's death, you know, he died just a few short months after we started really appreciating his music. The death of my number 1 artist hit me a lot harder because we had been into him a little bit longer, and that's You Want It Darker by Leonard Cohen. And
yes. I've already talked about it. Yes, you're going to listen to us talk about it again. So shut up. Take your finger off of the pause button. Go back to driving to visit your grandma in the Poconos.
Your grandma needs you. Don't crash the car trying to stop listening to us. We're
Keep
not
listening.
That unimportant.
You pig.
Oh.
No, I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Hey, come back. Come back. Okay.
Okay, we're glad to have you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So as I was saying...
Sorry about that.
You Want It Darker came out, and even if Leonard Cohen was still a healthy, vibrant man, I don't think that changes much. I think it would have probably still been my number one. I listened to this. It was incredible. But his death unlocked it like Bowie's. But I think the shift is David Bowie's album was a concept album about his death. Leonard Cohen's album is just kind of reminiscing, like thinking, stewing on the whole concept of death. I don't think it's applied to him as personally as Bowie's is.
No.
But at the same time, I think it paints a broader, more grandiose, even more relatable picture. I think everybody, not to get too macabre, but everybody has had someone close to them pass away. And I think that the themes on this album are super relatable. So I'm going to read what I have written here.
Wikipedia says, You Want It Darker is the
Wikipedia.
14th and final studio... Isn't that sad? Final studio album. That really sucks, man. Leonard Cohen, what a light. Anyway, final studio album by Canadian. Heck yeah. Singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen, released 21st of October 2016 by Columbia Records. The album was created while Cohen was dying and focuses on death, God, and humor. And I think that's a really good summary. Anyway.
So what I said is, it's so simple. This is one of music's legend doing what he does best. I would put his lyrics against any artist whatsoever, and that's true. I realize there are other writers who are incredibly good, but for my money, I would say...
Like NF, Jason? Like NF, yeah?
Okay. NF is what, like 25? Leonard Cohen's like 84.
I got my Timbs on and I'm stupid.
He does rap about his Timbs. Can I note, NF was in my honorable mentions where we talked about Where the Light Shines Through?
Yes,
That
I
wasn't
know.
exactly the Grammys. Okay.
I know, yeah.
But Leonard Cohen, I do think, is honestly the greatest writer in a musical sense I have ever heard.
Incredibly tasteful. You can hear the thought put into every, not every word, every syllable.
I don't believe there is any artist who has so perfectly balanced enough mystery, enough kind of cryptology, is that a word? Enough of a cryptic...
Yeah. Cryptology would be the study of symbols.
Whatever. And yet it's still accessible. I still know what he's talking about. And yeah, I said whereas Bowie's album was very cryptic, and I think therein lies that album's charm. Cohen's album did take a relatively simple approach.
As always, Leonard saying profound things with that classic twist of humor. He's always got a twinkle in his eye, and that is one of the things that makes his writing and music so powerful.
Yeah. And I said that basically he tells just kind of stories throughout the tracks. Again, going back to vignettes, the term we hate but keep using. It does just tell
Twice.
vignettes.
We can't say we keep using the term if we've used it twice.
Vignette. There, we keep using the term vignette. Are you happy now?
You've sewered us into that term.
And no album has shook me possibly more in my short lifetime. When I heard that he passed away, I went and I listened to the whole album, and I thought, what an incredibly powerful last statement. After this, you get the sense that he had nothing left to say, and I mean, what else could you expect?
It is the sound. David Bowie's album is the sound of a man coming to terms with his own mortality. Leonard's You Want It Darker is the sound of a man coming to terms with God.
Yeah, exactly.
And almost preparing himself to meet God.
And you almost get the sense, again, that, and we contrast these albums, and even looking at the covers, they're both like these black and white, austere kind of things.
Yeah.
You get the sense that David Bowie's Black Star was an album where a man found out he was dying and had to come to terms with it. And You Want It Darker was an album where a man was ready to die.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, totally.
David Bowie,
you
get the sense that he really had to reconcile it, but Leonard Cohen, was ready.
Yeah, he was, well said. Yeah, I agree.
And I think that every one of those songs, not every album is about being able to listen to it whenever you want, and I think that that's a horrible way to judge it. But at the same time, I feel You Want It Darker is the perfect album when I'm sad, when I learned of his death. It fit perfectly when I'm, bombing along backcountry roads and I'm, in a super good mood. He still has, a thumping instrumental. It's not all, gray, gloomy funeral music.
And that's exactly coming back to what I said. He addresses these very deep, dark issues with a twinkle in his eye, with a smile. And that is such a powerful and elusive trait to have as a writer. I know. So Nick Cave has said it tortures him. He stays up at night thinking about how Leonard Cohen's able to pull that off. And yeah, I don't know that there's any more to add to that.
Yeah, and I think I would say, I just do want to throw this out there.
Yep.
I think Black Star is possibly the objectively better album in so much as music can be objective. If someone, like you say that's your favorite album, I could never argue that.
Yeah.
I think that's totally valid. But I connected with You Want It Darker just on such a like instinctual level that I could never in good conscience say that Black Star is my number one, because I think You Want It Darker was just such a touching closing act for one of music's like great all-time
for the consummate musical poet. The definitive musical poet. So just to quickly recap, my top 3 were Skeleton Tree by Nick Cave at number 3. Definitely listen to that album. Listen to it.
Okay.
Number 2, Jumping the Shark by Alex Cameron. Great song to cruise along to and laugh along to the words and just groove. Snap your fingers. And number 1, Black Star. Flawlessly executed, unbelievably timed, and it made one of music's icons' death into art, and that's unprecedented and unbelievable. Your top 3.
My top 3. Number 3, Big Thief, masterpiece. Just as I looked at my list, I think it is important to realize how impressive of an accomplishment this is. My numbers 1 and 2 are these old musicians who were in the game for decades.
Yeah.
These guys from Big Thief are like, I don't know, late 20s.
Probably.
And I think they made an incredible statement, just like comfort food, not in like an empty calorie sort of sense, but in like Ma's homemade cooking.
It's
like
just a solid, well-constructed album, and that lays a great foundation for the rest of their career.
And I've said before, just in general, there's nothing wrong with that. I think people try to be creative in music sometimes too often, and sometimes all I want is to know what I'm getting into.
You need that backbone of great songwriting in order to accomplish things like Black Star.
So I think that's a fantastic album. My standout tracks were Paul and Masterpiece.
Oh, you're going to recite the standout tracks now.
And we'll also probably make a YouTube playlist and link to that.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Black Star by David Bowie. I still think I said it well. Yay me.
Wow.
Yay me.
Do you?
When I said I thought it was captivating, draining, and amazing. Yeah, just an incredible amount of musical depth. Please listen to it and then listen to it again and then keep listening to it.
Yeah.
Because it's an album that gets better the more you listen to it. And then my standout tracks for David Bowie were Lazarus and Dollar Days.
And if you want to be more like me, tack on Girl Loves Me on there, because that song is ballin'.
You can't go wrong, yeah.
Man.
And then Leonard Cohen, You Want It Darker was my number 1. I mean, we just talked about him, so I don't need to recap much. But just, in my opinion, possibly music's great all-time poet. An incredible end to an incredible man.
Yep.
Standout tracks from that, Treaty and Traveling Light.
Yep. And I think that just about wraps it up. We said we were going to take around a half hour to do this. It's over an hour now. So heck that.
Heck those rules.
Yeah, heck our got
And,
silly, dumb suggestions to ourselves.
What do I hear up in the crow's nest of the good ship Brothership? Land ho!
Oh, we're almost
coming
at
into
the
dock.
end of our voyage. Thanks for joining us. I hope you didn't get scurvy.
And I hope you enjoyed our salted pork.
We could see, this is the great thing about having a nautical, roughly nautical themed
If we get big, we can do
podcast, is that
cruises.
like Wintertainment. But we've got so many we could call our episodes voyages instead of episodes, but no, that would be really stupid. Never mind.
Because this podcast is such a bastion of intelligence.
That would be super annoying though, and like a brand new podcast to do. Is there anything we need to run over? I've just googled the good ship because it's the good ship such and such, and these are the things that came up: the good ship Lollipop, the good ship Venus, the good ship Jesus, the good ship Lifestyle, and the good ship Venus Lyrics. So I don't know. Let's look up the good ship Brothership and see if anything comes up.
Okay.
No, I did not mean the good ship Mothership. Heck that, Google. Oh, the Good Ship Company, marijuana edibles made in Seattle.
That is not our company. You know, maybe
It might be.
Yeah,
we
in the
might
future.
merge with them in the future.
You never know. I would just say, and this is all totally off the cuff, so I'm trying to remember everything. Please, if you did enjoy this, let us know. If you didn't, give us some criticism because we have no qualifications. I would love to hear what I did wrong. Like, I'm not even being facetious.
For sure.
If you did like it, share it with your friends. We're not like trying to grow us into a career or anything because we're not good enough for that. But, you know, it would be fun to get some people voyaging with us in the future.
Yeah.
So, you know, if this gets up on YouTube, who knows?
It
Like, subscribe, share, all that garbage. Take a sip of Beppis. You know, 4.3% off, I think. And that's it. Do you have anything to add?
I don't think that I have anything to add. Thanks for listening. If you actually have made it this far, if you have made it, let's check if you have made it 1 hour and 10 minutes and 10 seconds with us, thank you very much for listening.
How many people do you think will do that? I would say we'll have
many
about
people?
9 people.
Okay,
I'm not being sarcastic.
Hold on.
Shh, look at it. You spiked the mic.
I'm sorry, I just got excited. If you are listening to this podcast at this point in the podcast section of whatever, or the podcast section, in the comments section of whatever you're listening on, please type the words.
Take a sip of Beppis.
No. That's way too. Type the words coyote, Tylenol, 5, 4,
and extraterrestrial
into the comments section, and that's how we'll know how many people have been listening
There's
thus
gonna
far.
be so much slippage, though. Whatever.
Slippage?
I love slippage.
What do you mean by that?
Look at a lot of people who listen, but then don't type it into the comments.
No,
You guys are quitters.
If you do that and don't type that into the comments, what are you even here for?
Yeah.
What are you even here for?
That's just a good
I
question
think-
in general. What are you here for?
What did you expect from this? I think we'll get 2 people who listen to this all the way through to the end.
I think we're gonna get 5. I have faith.
You think we're gonna get 5 people?
I have faith in the
Censored.
community.
Yeah? Oh, I guess we can.
3 from them. Aaron Soch, probably Randy.
We're gonna probably have to redact what you just
Liam's-
said there because that group's not supposed to exist. I can't wait to go over that.
Oh, that's a good point. And then
It'll be at around 2,144.
And
I'm gonna make a
Liam-
note.
Liam, I'm calling you out because I know you're not gonna listen to this. I'm gonna ask you, what did you think of the podcast? And you're
Yeah, Liam.
I listened to about 5 minutes of it,
Oh,
I'll
you
be like-
guys, you guys are really funny and neato.
and I'll be like, yeah, I hate you too. Why don't you go like some comment against me? You know?
Randy probably won't listen to this because he'll have to do his laundry.
Johnny will. I love you, Johnny.
Johnny, we love you so much.
Maybe even Emerson did. Emerson.
I
bring
hope
back-
Emerson
okay.
did. Okay, we should probably stop.
Okay.
Bye.
Sorry. What do you want from me?